and Russians who meddled in the 2016 election, and that he hopes the special counsel investigation ends soon. He said, quote, "I think it's bad for the country. The only thing that bothers me about timing, I think it's a very bad thing for the country because it makes the country look bad. It makes the country look very bad, and it puts the country in a very bad position. So the sooner it's worked out, the better it is for the country." So how do Trump voters feel about the Russia investigation? CNN's Poppy Harlow traveled to Michigan and Kentucky, 2 states that Trump carried in the last election, to find out. And we should note she conducted these interviews before today's New York Times report that traces the origins of the Russia investigation.
Do you have any concerns about alleged ties between the Russian government and the Trump campaign?
I just don't give a rat's about that shit, okay? It's done. You understand? There's nothing we can do to change it. You can investigate all you want. It's done, okay? Let's just move on with the real problems of the world.
There have been some indictments. The president calls it fake news. What do you say?
Well, there's been stuff like that went on since the beginning of time. You know that, and I do too.
Does it bother you?
The only
Do you
thing
want
about
answers?
it, we've got more people digging. We got people who's a digging, just trying to find anything. It's happened in the past, and
Doesn't it bother you that Russia interfered in our election?
well, I got to what I wanted, so no, it didn't bother me.
Really?
Well, they didn't need to be doing that, but anyway, I got what I wanted, so I'm still.
Do you?
What did they do? What harm did they do?
think-
What harm did they do? Hey, I can tell you a bunch of lies. But when it
Disinformation.
comes down, you make your own mind up on what you want.
So do you think the investigation should even be going on?
Well, I think we're wasting a lot of time. It can be spent on something more worthwhile.
Would you have a different opinion if Hillary Clinton won and you didn't get the outcome you wanted?
Well, no. If Hillary got it, I don't think they should have been on her back either.
Do you wish the president would call Russia out more?
No.
So you have no concerns about the investigation into potential Russia ties?
No,
to this
and I'm
presidency?
gonna tell you why. Because after almost a year of investigation, after millions and millions upon millions of dollars of taxpayer money spent, the only evidence that has even come up is really against the Democratic candidate.
No. Manafort just got indicted. Rick Gates got indicted. 2 people
Well,
very
things
close to
happen.
the president.
You know what? If you start turning over stones, yes, you're going to find things.
No, but you're wrong. I mean, they just got indicted.
Politics is a dirty business. I'm saying that if you start turning over rocks, you're going to find things.
Do you have concerns about that? The contacts between people on the campaign and Russian officials, does it bother you?
It bothers me to the extent that I want them to get it done. And I don't care if it's Republicans, I don't care if it's Hillary Clinton, I don't care if it's Donald Trump. Whoever is behind all this stuff, we need to get it found out and move on. We need to go forward.
But are you glad they're investigating?
Absolutely. And whoever's guilty, take them out, get them, go, let's move on.
Regardless of party.
I don't care who it is. I don't
If they're
care.
guilty, they're guilty. Go on.
Would you like to see the president call out Russia more, call out Vladimir Putin, condemn the election meddling?
Yes, but there is an investigation going, so that he might not be able to talk about it too much right now.
He talks about it. He talks about the investigation.
Then again, he sees it as allegations like it is.
Is there anything the president could do to lose your vote?
Have bona fide proof that he has allowed Russia to come in and interfere with the election so that he would win against Hillary. That would very well upset me because I am a staunch believer of what he's doing, and that would really hurt my feelings. Okay. I'd feel really stupid after that.
So joining us to discuss, CNN contributor and Washington Examiner reporter Selena Zito. She often reports from the heart of Trump country. So Selena, you talk a lot with Trump voters. Are you hearing similar themes from the voters you talk to, this idea that the president won and that's all that really matters?
Well, it's really interesting to me. So, for my upcoming book, The Great Revolt, I went to all the counties in the country that voted for Obama twice and then for Trump. A lot of these voters still like Obama personally, but they voted for Trump because they voted for change. So sort of some of the same sentiments. And so when it comes to Russia, there's a couple conflicting things that I hear from these voters. First of all, on Russia and their interference, it's very difficult for them to separate the thought that Russia attempted to interfere, and hearing people talk about it in a way that says that it meddled and or influenced the election. From their point of view, they look at it as though, hey, I voted for him of my own free will. I made my decision long before any thoughts of Russia or Comey or emails or WikiLeaks. My decision was already set. And so they fight back on that because they think, you know, I wasn't influenced. I voted on my own, and so there wasn't an influence there. So that's a distinction that's difficult for them to separate.
And that's interesting that they feel that way, and it makes perfect sense as you describe it. And yet we know a lot of those same people do use social media, and now we've learned so much about Russian trolls and their infiltration of social media and putting out all this propaganda and fake news stories. But beyond that, we know some of these voters, like we heard in Poppy's piece, they want proof. They are asking for proof about the Russia influence, and I just wonder, are they even going to believe it if they got it? Because we have Fox News and Republicans that are in Congress who have repeatedly questioned the credibility of the Russia probe. And I just want to play one example.
Robert Mueller's partisan, extremely biased, hyper-partisan attack team.
And Mueller has been using the FBI as a political weapon.
This entire witch hunt needs to be shut down and shut down immediately.
It's like the old KGB that comes for you in the dark of the night.
I think there will be other revelations of bias and prejudice and improper conduct on behalf of the Department of Justice.
What Mueller did, he hired a pedigreed team of obvious partisans.
So these are messages a lot of those voters are hearing. Selena, will his most loyal supporters, President Trump's most loyal supporters, accept whatever conclusion there is in Mueller's probe, good, bad, or ugly?
Well, here's what I have heard and listened to in the thousands of interviews that I've done out, you know, in Michigan and Wisconsin and in the Rust Belt, where he got switched a lot of voters. A lot of them have a lot of respect for Mueller, and a lot of them believe that he will end up doing the right thing. And you know, I do believe that they will accept his findings, but the problem we have, and I really think we as an industry need to really dive into that, is that there is a massive distrust with institutions and expertise in this country. It didn't happen overnight. It didn't happen in the past 10 years. It is something that has been building since the 70s and just sort of has escalated to the point, especially within the last 10 years with all these wave election cycles, right? That led us to this populist election. And I think that that's something that we really need to address immediately. And I don't know how you do it, but I think that's part of our problem, that massive distrust with institutions, the political class, and with expertise. People just feel as though they've been let down so many times. And that's what I think you see and hear from some of these interviews when people say, I don't trust what happens. There's a portion of that in the country that won't just believe Mueller, period. But, you know, I think we need to get to the root of that problem outside of whatever happens with this investigation.
Selena Zito, thank you, and Happy New Year. We appreciate you joining us.
Happy New Year.
Jonathan.
Sarah, at the event that the president just did with the Navajo Code Talkers, he referred to Pocahontas being in the Senate. Why did he feel the need to say something that is offensive to many people while honoring the Navajo Code Talkers, these genuine American
I think
heroes?
What most people find offensive is Senator Warren lying about her heritage to advance her career.
Now, she said it was a racial slur. She said it was a racial slur. What is your response to that?
I think that's a ridiculous response.
Let me just follow up with that, because the president was speaking at an event to honor members of the greatest generation, people who fought in World War II, who are in their 80s and 90s now. And the moment had many people online asking whether the president lacks decency. What's your response to that notion?
Look, I think the president certainly finds an extreme amount of value and respect for these individuals, which is why he brought them and invited them to come to the White House and spent time with them, recognizing them and honoring them today. So I think he is constantly showing ways to honor those individuals, and he invited them here at the White House today to meet with them and to also remind everybody about what the historic role that they played many years ago. Kristen.
Why is it appropriate for the president to use a racial slur in any context?
I don't believe that it is appropriate for him to make a racial slur or
anybody
anybody
else. This is a racial slur, so why is it appropriate for him to use
I think,
that?
like I said, I don't think that it is, and I don't think that was certainly not the president's intent.
Does he see
I think,
political
again,
value
like I said, I
in-
think the more offensive, the most offensive thing. I'm sorry?
Does he see political value in calling people out racially? Why use that?
Look, I think that Senator Warren was very offensive when she lied about something specifically to advance her career. I don't understand why no one's asking about that question and why that isn't constantly